is because we are here because we're meant to live. When we're born as a little tiny baby, that first cry that comes out of our mouth is a sign, I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm meant to live. Now, how we live is up to us. We're all on the same journey. We're all getting to the same place, the same goal, because we are immortal beings. Right now we're having a human experience. Yet we're all going to the same place. We're on this journey of self-discovery. We all have our own relationship to this energy and essence we call God. We feel it differently. We use it differently. We define it differently. We have a different way of getting to this oneness with life. The way I look at it, we're a little circle in the big circle of this thing we call spirit, divine mind, infinite intelligence, God, goodness, whatever you call it. We're the little circle in the big circle. Now, you won't find this in the Science of Mind textbook of my thoughts about immortality, but what I think is we keep this evolutionary journey going on, and many of us have gotten a foot over on the other side, at least a part of that, which we see it's love, it's goodness, but it's this ever-expanding journey. Jesus said, in my house there are many mansions, many experiences for us to live. So we're on this journey, and for me it's remembering that we're one with this big circle, this circle of love, this circle of goodness, this circle of light. And the more quickly we remember, the sooner we merge ourselves. And when we get to that place, because I always wondered, well, if we're growing and expanding forever, how can we be immortal? How can we keep growing? Well, here's what I believe. When we get to that place where we so understand that we are one with God, with spirit, with creativity, with possibility, that we can't tell where we stop and the big circle begins, when we can't feel the edges at all, that's when our oneness is united and we become the light. We become the light, and we love this world and we love this universe so much that we just know only to give of ourselves. So we become the light, and that's how we spend life, being light and goodness and sharing ourselves. But it may be a long time until we get there. That felt really good while I was talking about it. Maybe a while. It may be a while. And when we're standing in the world the way it is right now, we think, oh my goodness, will we ever get there? Well, we have a choice how quickly we learn and remember. How quickly we decide, oh yes, I'm here to remember I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And no matter what the turbulence, the turmoil, the chaos is, there's a place within me that is never disrupted. A calm and a peace and a connection. And if I remember that's there, and I allow myself to get there, I can be part of the goodness that's happening, part of the love, a part of the understanding. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But as that beautiful song reminded us, pain and loss transform us. They're supposed to unravel us so we can get to that center, that place within us. Unravel us so we can deepen our relationship with God, with understanding, with peace, with forgiveness, with possibility. They're supposed to unravel us, that pain and loss, so we can strengthen our faith and know there's so much more going on than just what we see. There's so much more at work. There's something bigger. But sometimes, instead of unraveling us inward, it unravels us outward. And that's when you and I get into what I might define as a negativity bias. And I looked that word up, and it's very interesting because scientists and researchers have studied negativity bias. And that's when you put the same amount of good emotion and bad emotion in front of a person. And what are they going to do about it? And there's a process, a condition in the human consciousness that more often than not, people tend to go to the negativity in their conscious mind. They tend to choose the negative over the positive, even though the emotions are the same. And that's what's happening in our world right now. And that, I believe, is what we're trying to break free of. It's this negativity bias that puts us in a victim mentality. Oh, I just don't like that. Because you know what happens in a victim mentality? No, not only do you feel less than and not empowered at all, but you start judging the world and pointing fingers. You know what I mean? Pointing fingers at somebody else because you're the victim, and you forget that every moment is a choice, that we have the power in every moment to decide, what am I going to do with this moment? Am I going to give it up to this negativity bias? Am I going to give it up? Well, all this tells me is we've got to work a little harder at being consciously positive. Okay? Because it's harder work. And I don't know where this bias came from. It was kind of funny because I remember the first time when I was teaching, I went in to start a job in 5th grade, and I was the new teacher. And one of the old-timers there called me Pollyanna. And I went in the bathroom and cried. But the opposite of this negativity bias is called the Pollyanna effect, where no matter what's going on, you can see the glass half full. You can see there's a bigger possibility in what's going on, and there's something more in this situation. You can remember that we are on this spiral, eternal journey of awakening, right? Are you with me on that? Okay, and it's interesting because this part didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but our unconscious mind tends more to the positive. And we can remember things more positively than they actually were. Isn't that interesting? Thank God for that. Whew. Didn't understand it, but I certainly accepted it. We've got to get a balance there, so we're doing both things. So we have a choice in every single moment. And recognizing blessings. You know, I'm going to really choose, and we're going to end today with a powerful request for all of us. But I'm going to ask that we really focus on our blessings, especially at this time, because what we find out is when we focus on the blessings, it really allows us to let the pain flow through us. We don't have to just pretend it's not there or build a wall, but it can flow through us to a greater understanding of what's really going on. What's really going on. I'm going to ask you, I want you to think for a minute, in your life, what scars have really transformed you and made you a better person? What difficulties in your life have you worked through that you could come out and go, oh, I am a better person because of that? Well, let me tell you what Viktor Frankl says. He says, when we are no longer able to change a situation out there by what we're doing, we are challenged to change ourselves. To change ourselves. And that change begins with focus and choice. We're called to change who we are. Do I want to be used to be the light? Do I want to use to be the love and light in the hands and feet and arms and minds of God, of love, of goodness, of creativity? I love, Marianne, when you mentioned when things are tough, go do something new, be creative, do something fun that stimulates what's good inside, to remember that we are spiritual beings. And the other thing, for me, the easiest way to make a better choice is if I've filled my spiritual bank account. If I've made deposits in my spiritual bank account. You called it the toolbox, but the bank account. Am I depositing appreciation for myself and people around me? Am I depositing love and kindness for the world in which I live, and appreciation for the flowers and the water and the food? Am I doing that? Am I doing my spiritual practices so my bank account is full, and when something tries to deplete me, I have a reserve to pull from? Now, Elizabeth Gilbert, Eat, Pray, Love, said, you have to participate. You have to participate relentlessly in the manifestation of your blessings. You got to work at it. We've got to work at co-creating with good. There's a power for good in this universe greater than we are, and we can use it. Use it. That's the key part there. Use it. It's there for us always. There's never a time. We are filled with the blessings of everything we need, but we've got to use it. We've got to work it. We've got to participate relentlessly in manifesting our blessings. And of course, if we think of Viktor Frankl, a neurologist, a psychologist, was born in Austria in 1907. He died in 1997. He's been given honorary doctorates from most of the universities in our country because he did so much to change this world for the better. But he survived the Holocaust, and he lost every member of his family, his mother, his father, and his pregnant wife. All lost. But he survived. And in 1946, he published the book that he wrote in 9 days about his experience in a concentration camp. And the book, Man's Search for Meaning, was really a launching pad for where his work really went. And he said, when he looked at the reason why some people died and some people lived in the concentration camps, it was because the people that lived had meaning in their life. They felt that their life still had meaning. And there was a reason for them to be alive. And he helped people find meaning in their life. And he went on after he got out of the concentration camp and wrote his book and got his life on track again. He started something called logotherapy, which is the existential thought and belief that the most powerful force in a person's life, more powerful than anything else, is to find meaning in who we are and what we do. It doesn't matter about the rewards you reap or what happens, but what's going on in here. And he goes on to say, everything can be taken from a man or woman or child, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, is to choose. To choose one's attitude in any given moment, in any given set of circumstances. Now, we teach and know that this universe rests on the shoulders of love. God's love, unconditional, pure love. Love is the truth of everything. Everything. And the two blessings that we can use to be blessed always are love and compassion. They are the only things that are going to heal this planet. They're the only things that are going to heal all the broken hearts and minds that we see. If we choose to practice and live love and compassion, not just for some, but for all of us. So I've had a lot of calls and talked with many people this week. I had lunch with a dear friend that's here today, and we were talking about what can we do at this time. There's so much fear and uncertainty and so much separation. What can we do? And we shared some ideas and thoughts, and one thing he mentioned was in England, when Brexit came, there was this great divide and separation too. Things happened that people weren't ready for, weren't expecting, and people felt unsafe. So a woman started a campaign, a safety pin campaign, where she wore a safety pin and gave it to others who agreed the same way. And the safety pin simply said, I am a safe person. You can sit by me on the bus. You can sit by me in a restaurant. You can come say hello to me because I'm a safe person. I'm not filled with anger and hatred. I'm here. Well, the same campaign was started here this week in the United States, and I looked it up on the website, and I wasn't quite for it because it had anti in it. And Ernest Holmes said, stand for something and against nothing. I don't want to be against anything. I want to be for something right now. So Jesse, will you stand up? Where are you, Jesse? So Jesse he bought 100 safety pins. And we want to start our own safety pin movement. And we can pass them out of the door, or you can do it whatever you want, or we can pass them around now. It's whatever you like. But now, before you take it, you can take it at another time. You don't have to take one now. But I want you to really know that this means I'm going to step away from that negativity bias. I'm not going to be feeding the hatred. Yeah, we can have feelings and be angry and express them with somebody we love quietly. But I'm not going to go out there and feed the collective consciousness with anger and hatred and all these horrible things. We can be afraid and frightened, and we'll find somebody to talk to, and we can be there. However, when we have on our face and our consciousness and our energy in the world, we're going to hold love and compassion, number one. And so if we take a safety pin, Jesse, I want a safety pin. I meant to get one. Thank you. I love you too. Thank you. I am making a commitment right now to being in a consciousness of love and compassion and sharing it in all the ways I can. It doesn't mean that I won't fall down, because choosing to live your best life means when you fall down, you get up. When you make a mistake, you learn. When you get hurt and you're afraid, you strengthen your heart and your mind. It means that you choose to improve this in every moment. The next I fell down, I made a mistake. This next moment's going to be better. It's going to be better. So this call to action, and I'm going to read you another little quote by Viktor Frankl, but is about choosing to keep the safety pin in mind. If you're not ready to wear it yet, and you know, if it just means you haven't done your grieving and your work yet, you haven't gotten all the energy out enough yet. You don't have to get it all out to wear the safety pin, because we're energetic beings, and we do have feelings that go in and out, up and down, and that's okay, but it means you're going to focus on the good. So here's what Viktor Frankl said also. He said, the more one forgets oneself by giving oneself to a cause to serve or another person to love. I'm going to read that part again. The more one forgets oneself by giving oneself to a cause to serve or a person to love, the more human they are and the more they actualize themselves. So when we're giving away, we actually grow. And he went on to say, later in his years, he took flying lessons. And he said, I learned so much from my instructor, because I've always heard that we're to bless and find the good in one another. But in flying lessons, I realized when there's a crosswind going on, you get the significance there, right? I just want to make sure, the crosswind going on that's fighting against you, you've got to aim beyond your destination. You've got to aim farther than where you're going, because the crosswinds are going against you, and to get where you're going, you've got to aim farther. And he said, I believe this about human beings also. If we see people as they are, we can make them worse. But if we can see the potential in them, if we can see the good in them, if we can see the divinity in them, we can make them better and hold up their success. Do you like that? I love that. Ernest Holmes said a very similar thing. He said, the spiritual practitioner, which is each and every one of us, because we're all practicing something, and because you're here, we are practicing spirituality, so we're all spiritual practitioners. And he said the spiritual practitioner should see everyone as a divine being. Everyone, not some people, but everyone, because that's the truth. Thus causing an awakening of the divinity that is latent in all people. That's just what we talked about at the beginning. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do. Now, if it's one or two people next to you, I want you to just look at that person, and I want you to say, I see you as you really are. I see the divinity in you. I recognize you as a person of light. And now will you say, I love what I'm seeing. And I love you. Now get on your feet. We're going to mix our service up a bit. We're going to take the hands of love on the right, the hands of love on the left. We're going to hold each other's hands, and we're going to sing Blessed Always right now, because I want you to realize that we are a blessing to each other. And when we can be that blessing to each other, we can go out in this world and be a blessing to others, even people that think differently, act differently, are different, if we do it right here and right now. Gretchen, come hold my hand.
You're so beautiful.
Aren't they amazing?
Can't stand it.
Yes, you can.
I can. Are we ready? So beautiful. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
We're just going to seal that with a hug. And let's say together, and so it is. God bless you all. Mwah.